Hello and welcome to Heads and Dovetails, as I say every time with myself, Jill Harvey Bush, and the lovely Jamie Hubbard.
Good
Jamie,
morning.
how are you? Are you all right?
I'm 60 and wonderful. How are you?
I wish I could say I was 60, but I'm wonderful. So, and actually, we're going to be talking, aren't we? We're just chatting before we hit record about aging and how
Yeah.
things change and how we change our attitude to it. Because I had just read a post from a very good friend. So I'm just going to see if I can locate it. One of my best friends, he's called Justin Buckthorp. He's a nutritional, functional medicine, fitness coach. He works with golfers and footballers and etc. And he actually has written this, which I thought was perfect. It's called The Rules Change and Nobody Told You. So it's like a blog post from him. At 25, a late night or hangover was just a speed bump. The next day, you'd lace up, go for a run, and crack on with your day. The body bounced back fast and with ease. At 45, that same approach does not work. In fact, it compounds errors. Organ reserves are lower, systems are naturally more depleted, and overall life load is higher because of all the commitments you have. In your 20s, you got fit to get healthy. In your 40s, you have to think about health before pushing your fitness. It shifts from grunt work to groundwork, from pushing harder to understanding your capacity, from simply training hard to making sure fitness fits the ecology of your life. The playbook for well-being changes in each chapter of your life. Most people just haven't been told. And that really resonated with me this morning
Yeah.
because it's true, was cabin crew and flew the world and drank quite a bit. And the next day we'd be up, slight hangover, but by lunchtime fine and getting on with it. I couldn't do that now.
No.
And it's your fitness back then was very different. I mean, gyms weren't huge when they were just kind of coming into hotels. You go to the hotel gym and they would offer you a freebie, something like that. But I mean, you've had health issues. I've had health issues.
Yes.
And for me, I think that 45 seems to be a really good kind of point because I was talking to somebody the other day about health and fitness and how unfortunately all your friends seem to be great. And then you kind of hit your mid 40s and suddenly you find lots of friends aren't very well, or they've got cancer, or they've got, brain tumor, or they've got a big health issue going on. That seemed, and I can only say because I am in my 60s, in my 50s, that compounded a bit more. And that's when I then started losing those friends who had been poorly in their late 40s, early 50s. But
Yeah.
it seems that then as you get through your 60s, I mean, Clive is through his 70s, you seem to get through that period, then people seem to be um, okay, go on for a lot longer. So I don't know what your thoughts are.
Well, you say mid 40s, and I was 45 when I'd got a bit of a headache, and I went to um, somebody said, I think it was a GP, somebody said go to the opticians.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it was 44, maybe 45. And he said, your eyes are fine. He said, but you do overstretch them. You're flexing something so that I can pick up details better. Within a year or so of that, now I don't know what had happened. It was a very stressful job, incredibly stressful job.
Mm.
Um, Within a year, I was wearing reading glasses. I needed to wear for close up.
Mm.
And I've got them on now, and I tend to, yeah, and I buy cheaper now because it's easier. But I think from then on, I think it's a good sign. I think if your vision is starting to go, I think you need to start thinking of other things. So I
Mm.
think as a first sign of something changing, where you're and we used to, we used to go all over the Europe. Really, I didn't really go all over the world, but all over Europe with guys sorting boats out and doing things, and the younger ones, the ones 15, 20 years younger, would be out till 2 and 3 o'clock in the
Hmm.
morning. And I'd be like, midnight, whatever, half 12, I need to be back in the hotel. I need to be, because I've got to get up in the morning. Um, I think it's harder now with food and
Mm.
I think with so much rubbish going into the food, I saw a few weeks ago somebody did. a comparison video clip on Instagram, I think, and basically it was started with, well, it was okay when we were younger. We used to drink this all the time, and
Ingredients.
there was Coca-Cola, 7 ingredients 30 years ago. Now Coca-Cola, five times that, three times that, and I think what's happening is companies are it's looking after the shareholders, and all of that's going on, and that the effects of all of the every sort of food we're eating, unless it's like you or my mom or others, or that just that little bit older where you cook everything fresh, and I
Mm.
just think so. I think that's deteriorating, and I think they know the powers that be know this is happening, and they know it's shortening our lifespan, and actually they want it. I don't. I think I've said it before. I was on a train once going to London, and there was a guy in the front, a younger guy in the front seat, the seat in the other side of the aisle, and just behind him was an older guy. And the younger guy was on his laptop, and he turned to the guy behind. He says, "It's not going to work. It's not going to work." He said, "Oh, it will work. We'll definitely lose at least four people by the time that's done. That'll give us this much money. That'll give us." He said, "So we're just counting." And he said, the younger guy said, "So we're just counting on people dying." And he said, "Well, yeah, that's what it's all about." And I'm just
Wow.
like, and I sat there and I thought, insurance companies and whatever. And I was thinking, they want us to go earlier. They want us to get to our 65th year and go just before you start getting your pension or your life insurance or whatever. They want all of that. It is, but yeah, we've got to slow down. And I think our brains, we're just so geared up. We just in our 40s, we still think we're 27, 23.
What do you
In
mean in
our
your 40s? I
50s,
still think that in my 60s.
exactly. And there has to be you've got to look at yourself. And I think it's as you've just said, it's only when you look around and you start losing a couple of people, you just
Mm.
think, what's going on? Why am
Yeah.
I what did they do different to me? And why have I
Hmm.
lost a friend at 46?
Mm.
And that slows you down a bit, but not almost not enough.
Well, it does make you re-look at what you're eating. Well, it did for me, and obviously I had cancer at 52. So
Yeah,
it does make you look very much at, okay, what am I doing? I knew in my 40s I needed to do strength conditioning and I was going to the gym and I that's how I knew Justin. He originally was my trainer. And I knew that because my mum had horrendous osteoporosis. So being aware of family history
yeah,
often is good
yeah.
and thought, okay, mum's got that. I know that I have to do strength conditioning. And to be honest, when you're cabin crew, so when I was younger, we were all pretty strong because you have to lift great heavy bar boxes and you're pushing heavy trolleys. And people forget, when you're first on a flight, you're pushing a trolley either uphill or you're hanging onto it from stopping it going downhill when you're pushing them up and down because the aircraft does actually fly at a slight angle. So then in my 40s, I thought, okay, I really have to do something about this now and start looking after myself, which I did. My diet still wasn't perfect, I will admit. Wasn't a heavy drinker or anything at that point. And I mean heavy drinker, we rarely drank anything when I'm talking heavy drinker compared to my cabin crew days. And then I started to become far more aware, talking to Justin and looking around and at food and realizing what on earth is in our food
Yeah,
and then getting more and more aware of that. Obviously, then when I got cancer, I was very hot then on what's in my food. We buy organic, that's our expensive. When you say to somebody about your food bill, our food bill is probably more expensive than most people's, and people are horrified when I say what the food bill is for Clive and I. But we don't buy bottles of wine, you know, things of cider. We don't buy cakes. We don't buy any of that sort of thing. I don't buy, as you know, I now make a lot of my own laundry powder, washing powder, even for the dishwasher now. I've mixed up the dishwasher stuff. And that is, again, in the last few years, going, no, no, I need to get a lot cleaner. I mean, before
that's
good
good.
old Nancy Birtwistle came along, I have got the bicarb book, the vinegar book, and the lemon book, and knew that that's really where I needed to go. But you're right, you start to look, and I can't, you can't go pushing yourself, or maybe you can. People do run marathons, etc. But it is being aware. I think what Justin said there is in your 20s, you don't have the cognitive load, the emotional stress, the mental stress particularly. Maybe 20-year-olds do now who suffer from anxiety and can't cope with life.
Yeah.
But in your 40s and 50s, and particularly now that we're having children later, you're obviously parents, so you're getting to that age where a lot of friends now are dealing with teenage children as well as aging parents, which never happened. You didn't have it all at once. My mum had all
Yeah.
three of us by the time she was in her mid-20s. So then by the time my grandparents were getting old and needing assistance, we'd all grown up and left home. She wasn't having to deal with both. But I just, as I say, I read that this morning. I thought, yeah, actually, that makes sense. We've got to look after our health. And I now definitely see my fitness as part of the health, making sure that I can balance that, because that's, when you get older, you fall over. And women, I think we mentioned before, women are at higher risk of you go into hospital with a broken pelvis or hip, and the chances are you don't come out. So I'm well aware of that, the balance, hence my gardening, hence willow weaving, hence all of that.
Yeah.
So it's
And I
important.
think I think the other thing, the other side of that, Jill, is really a patience thing. Um, I've I'm pulling some ivy out of the tree at the top of the garden.
Hmm.
Years ago, I'd have gone, oh, a couple of weekends and that'll be done.
Mm,
No, I'm not thinking like that now. Seeing it as, right, when there's a dry hour and I've got
mm.
time, I'll go and do 15, 20 minutes. You know as well as I do, 15, 20 minutes is never 15,
I
20
don't know if
minutes.
you saw my post
I
yesterday.
saw it. I saw it. Yes, you go out there and 3 hours can go by,
I
and
know.
it's and but that's the good thing, isn't it? That's where those things outside. We've mentioned it before. The
Mm,
soil microbiome thing, whatever it is that's going on, is really good for you. But I think that's you get to the. I mean, I'm 60 now, and I'm there already. I'm 6 years medication free. I don't know whether I've already said that on
mm.
the previous podcast. So 6 years without medication is feels pretty blooming good.
It's
But
amazing.
I'm also doing buying broccoli, and I'll do myself just a I don't know cheese sandwich and have broccoli on the side. But,
Mm.
boiled now. I'm not eating it as I was eating it added to
Raw. Oh, do you have it
raw.
raw? Yeah.
I do. I was eating it raw, and the florets are quite nice raw. But it's just I found that just gently cooking it, not boiling it to to nothing
Oblivion.
between you. Yeah.
It's
Um,
basically you show it the hot water or the steam, and then it's cooked and it's done. Our veg are always crunchy and
yeah.
yeah.
So I'm doing a bit of that, but honestly, I know I am nowhere near as as good with food as I want to be. We've got two 20 somethings in the house.
Mm,
Wife's working, doing a thing, and sometimes I mean me coming in late at night. That's not helping. So there was some food done for me last night, cooked at whatever time it was. I got back at 8:30, looked at it, and just thought, "Oh, crikey, I can't eat that." And
mm.
and I know the Japanese have got this sort of habit of leaving, only eating 80% of the food, leaving 20%. Well, this is scandalous to say, but straight away some of it went in the bin. I just thought I'm not eating chips at this time of night, even
Mm.
though they're not fried in deep fat or anything. But I just thought that's too much of heavy stuff at 9 o'clock at night.
And also, your system doesn't cope with it as well, Jamie. And then we get sleepless nights. And, I remember if I go back to my
Yeah,
20s, going out with a boyfriend, we go to the pictures to see. I mean, there wasn't 20 million showings in those days. It was, one showing at, you got your A film and your B film sort of thing. It would finish around 10 o'clock. And then we'd go to the Chinese. And we knew the waiter in there, his family owned it. We'd go in, and the two of us would sit down and tuck into a Chinese meal, and then you go home and you don't think twice about it. I didn't think it was upsetting my stomach or I couldn't sleep. Now, no way. I like to
yeah,
be done. We like to eat early.
yeah.
Um, Otherwise, we recognize, when we go around to people's for dinner, we're often come back and go, oh, and we both stay up for a while before we go to
Yes,
bed, you know.
yes. And I feel like I'm failing. I'm failing at the moment with. with getting the balance right. I want to
Mm,
get that balance right, but I don't know what it is. And I probably need just a conversation with somebody. But when you're eating at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, that's fine. But
mm,
when you're eating at 8:30 at night,
mm.
I really need to be eating a different sort. Do I really need to be eating? I mean, I have done a few times where I've eaten, say, I've been at the college and I've had a bigger meal in the middle of the day.
That's right. Shift it to the middle of the day.
Yeah, and that's worked out all right, but I can't do that all the time.
But I also
But
appreciate some people don't get home from work. When I'm saying, I usually shut down my computer, finish around 6 unless I've got a late client. By the time I've gone out, because as I say, cook from scratch, it's probably 7, and that's the latest that we like to eat. But I
yeah,
know, even my son sometimes he's not home till 7, half 7, but then he eats his main meal during the day. And I think
that's
again,
yeah,
it's looking at if you're coming in late, I've got to go up to Surrey again tomorrow, there and back in a day, so I'll be back later. Rather than having a heavy meal, that's when let's have an omelette.
yeah,
So we'll have the protein. We don't have the heavy, stodgy meal. I'll have an omelette and I might throw, I'm a baked bean fanatic. So I might have it with baked beans. Or, if there's salad, I'll have a little bit of salad with it. And that's
yeah,
enough, when it's later at night. Often I turn to a bowl of cereal if I'm in at 9 o'clock and I'm hungry because you kind of know if I don't eat, I'm going to wake up, at about 3 thinking I'm starving. But anyway, it was just an interesting thought that I definitely look at keeping fit for a different reason now.
yes,
And that's to
yes.
protect my health, to protect my balance, protect my muscles, to make sure I still can get up, you know, off the chair and off the floor and as we
Well,
say in our house, doing a Wendy, which is Wendy Welpton and her lovely new book.
oh,
She's Reclaim Movement. I don't
oh,
know,
okay.
on Instagram. And she sits on the floor a lot and said you naturally move around. We weren't designed to sit in chairs and so on.
No,
So I plonked down on the floor a lot more again because of Wendy. And Clive will say, "Oh, you're doing a Wendy." And
yeah,
I get a mention in a book, which was just published
yeah,
this
oh,
month.
okay.
So yes, because again, weaving, I'm moving around all the time. I'm changing positions on the floor, you know.
Yes. And I
And
think that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, I'm I'm conscious now because I think they say you that I've said it before, I'm sure I have, that you've got like a second, they call it your second heart within your legs, within your calf muscles.
mm,
That takes some of the strain away, takes some of the effort away by using that muscle
hmm
from your heart. So if you're lying still and don't
well,
move, you're
it
putting all
pumps
the
it back up, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah. So I'm conscious of that. So I'm doing more. I'm not doing much yoga at the moment. I'm really not. I haven't found somebody that suits my time at the moment. But I am doing more um, arm swinging and all sorts of things. But my squats are getting better and my legs are getting better. My knees years ago were the worst. They were
Mm.
terrible. But now, if I squat down for a few seconds, maybe I'm only down there no more than 10 seconds and I've got to get up straight away. And if I need to get back down again, that's fine. But if I stay down for 20 or 30 seconds or longer, I sometimes have to roll on my back, go onto all
Get up.
fours, and then stand up.
Yeah. No, I'm very conscious of it, thanks to lovely Wendy. I mean, I was before, but Wendy does great stuff about movement and how you can incorporate that into your life and go for your walks. And which is why you'll often
Yeah,
see if I'm posting on Instagram, I'm balancing on logs, I'm walking on pebbles,
yeah,
because that all helps keep your balance
yeah.
and your body gets used to it rather than not doing that. So I'm much more aware, and I'm sure people think I'm bonkers when they see me up at the common doing these things and jumping off logs and
No, it's
I
it's
don't care. Maybe that's a good
exactly.
thing
It's
about being my age. I don't care anymore. I know it's doing me good and it's
yes,
stopping me, if I did have a fall, I'd be fine type thing and how to cope with that. So
and that's the
it's
thing, isn't it? Something like a fall as you get older. My mom
yeah,
had a bump on the 8th of November, and she's still
trying
trying
to
to get over
recover.
it.
Mm,
And she's 86.
yeah,
So it is tough. And I'm having to say, I mean, in one respect, this is I mean, and I think it's because of talking to you and these chats. Um, Things happen for a reason sometimes, but also
hmm
looking at the positive side of my mom having this bump is um she's got to go through all of this, and she's having these pains, and it is all quite negative. But I'm saying to Mom, I said, you're going through now what I was going through when we just had Melody. She was 1 year old. I'd got this thing, had this thing called arthritis that they called
Mm,
arthritis. Um, and I felt like I said, you're feeling now how I felt in my early 40s.
mm,
I said, and I put up with that for years. And I was trying to do my best and find my way out of it, and tried all sorts of things, apple cider vinegar and this, that, and the other, and tried all
mm,
sorts. Well, now I'm 6 years medication free, and I think because of all these little things, and saying to her, I mean, it was only 5 years ago they would spend, my mom and her partner, husband, would spend 6 hours in the garden, 8 hours in the
mm.
garden, and just keep going.
Yeah.
Now she's struggling to get into the garden.
Oh, that's
Um,
sad.
and it's one of those things that, because they moved from a garden that needed a lot of plot similar to yours,
Yeah,
very
big.
similar to what you're doing,
Yeah.
and now they're back over this way, back near people and hospitals and things. Um, and she's just, the garden is an easier maintenance garden. It's got gravel instead of lawn. It doesn't need trees chopping down. They get people in to chop trees down and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And I think it's a slow decline.
That you don't
Um,
notice this happening if you're not careful.
she wasn't prepared for it. And I think
Yeah.
now
Not
she's
active.
actually, yeah, she's now sort of having to rethink. And the woman that she saw the other day said, well, this is rheumatoid arthritis. You've got this
Mm,
starting. And she said, you've done really well. You're 86. You've managed all of this and you've done all that, but it will wear you out. And
mm.
that's what's, and it's
It's
getting
like
balance,
Clive.
isn't it?
Clive notices, if he doesn't do his cycle ride and go for a swim for a couple of weeks, he stiffens up. Even he'll notice it, but then he
Yeah,
doesn't do the gardening and that side of things that I do. So that's very much part he realizes it's good for him, and that's the difference, I think, isn't it?
it is.
It's
And
recognizing it's good for you rather than doing it because, well, I'm in my 20s and everybody's running and going
yeah,
to the gym and all the rest of it. It's recognizing what works and what doesn't work in that respect for
and
keeping you healthy.
yeah, and it might be one of those things where, because my mom's not very well at the moment, she's got to do. She can't do. I mean,
Mm.
honestly, I think this is the other thing that really annoys me. She's going to physio, and the physio is saying do 20 of these and 20. She can't do 20 of those. And I said, what have you got to do? Lift your leg out to the side and lift it up to. I can't even do that. And I'm 25 years younger than you. I said, they're asking you to do. I said, Mom, just do what you feel you can do. Give it a couple of minutes. Do one or two of something is better than doing nothing.
Absolutely.
And then try a little bit of build up. But don't think today I'll do five and tomorrow I'll do 7 or 10. No,
Well,
do one or
sometimes I
two
think
today.
that's the that's kind of the prescriptive if it's on the NHS, isn't it? That, oh, here's the exercise and here's what it tells you to do, regardless of who you are. And I was
Yeah,
sharing with you earlier, I had to go for blood tests and then I was asked questions around my liver. It was, okay, so how much do you drink a week? And I said, well, I don't. Well, how many units? I don't. But I can't say that I'm teetotal, Jamie, because occasionally, Christmas, high days and holidays, I might
yeah,
have a glass of wine. I mean, very occasionally. Or Clive and I in the summer, if we've been busy and it's hot, we might share, and I do say share, a can of cider. So I can't say that I'm teetotal, but if you
no,
ask me how many in a month, I can't tell you. And then they kind of look at me as much as say, and I'm sure they think I'm lying here, particularly
yeah,
when they ask, well, okay, so food-wise, let's have a look at your diet. Okay. How many takeaways, etc., do you have a week? Like McDonald's or Kentucky, none. Can't remember the last time I went in. And again, you can see the person kind of going, she's
yeah,
lying now. I don't know. We don't do that.
yeah,
And then when I said I had kind of explained, look, I grow my own veg and I cook every meal from scratch. Well, every night. Well, yes. And you kind of get this. Now they really don't believe me. And now they're actually stumped because if I don't drink and I'm not eating all these fatty foods and I tell them what I have, oh, well, could you tell me what you eat during a day? And then when they say, oh my God, that's sort of pretty healthy. And how many veg do you have? Well, in the morning I have this many in my smoothie, and then at lunchtime I'll have this homemade soup, and then in the evening, and then you can see them kind of going, well, we don't know what to suggest now. It's like it's that off pat. Well, it's got to be drink, it's got to be the diet. How much exercise do you do? Well, as soon as it starts to get light, I walk a minimum of 5 hours a day before breakfast. And again, I'm sure they think this woman's lying. Now she's definitely lying. And you just think they're stumped. They don't know what to suggest now. You
You're
don't fit
you're
my tick list.
you're different, Jill, aren't you? You're a
Well,
you're
yes, in many ways.
I mean, maybe people. I don't know what it is. I mean, my wife's parents. I should imagine they are very much like what you're doing, because they grow their own vegetables. She
Hmm.
cooks. She used to be a cook, and um, and every meal, every 5 o'clock bang on 5 o'clock, be a food on the table, and it would all be home cooked, and it would
Yeah,
all be, and they wouldn't do things like pizzas, and wouldn't even do things like pasta,
yeah. Well, it
or
didn't, it
occasionally
didn't
pasta.
really exist,
You know what I
when I was
mean?
little. People didn't know what it was. You didn't have foreign food. That's foreign food. So again, that brings us back full circle to what I was saying about the shopping bill, that people are quite shocked, when I say, oh, my bill's, not like that. But that's because I buy organic, Jamie,
Yeah,
as much as I can. I
yeah,
buy, if I'm not growing it, and I don't grow everything, and the same with, meat or chicken, then I will buy organic. And I think it says a lot when an organic chicken might be £22 for an organic chicken, and you see what I call the other chickens. I go to Sainsbury's, I know there are other supermarkets, and you can see those for kind of a fiver. And you think, how come this one's this? And what's that telling me about how the animal lived and so on? So for Clive and I, our treats, you might buy, or somebody else might put a couple of bottles of wine in, which I see regularly in the trolley. Clive and I have what I call good quality food.
which is
And I
good.
think it shows,
Yeah,
personally. Anyway,
yeah.
there we go. We've kind of gone full circle from fitness and health all the way around again. And let's hope we both stay really healthy for a very long time, Jamie.
Well, one last little
Go on
bit.
then.
You said a while ago that you left it a while before you had a chocolate bar with something, and it
Yes,
tasted totally. I
it
can't
was
eat
a
Star.
whisper bar.
Yeah, I can't eat Starbars anymore.
Oh, Jamie, weren't you given a box?
That was February last year.
Oh, right. What
They
made
were
you
they
go, you can't eat Star bars anymore? I'll
some
have to
I
use
bought
that.
somebody bought a packet for me for my birthday. That was 2 weeks ago. I had one the night before last, 7ish, 6ish, 7ish, and I'm feeling it on my stomach. I'm feeling it, and I'm not enjoying the eating.
Mm.
Now, I'm going to partly blame you and NLP or whatever it is,
Yeah,
because I think I've told myself so much about the blooming palm oil in there and there's no milk
yeah.
that I'm now not enjoying it. So that's it. No more.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't. I don't want
that.
another one.
It's when you put the two together, exactly what you're saying. It is that mental thing. Actually, I don't agree with palm oil. Whoa,
Yeah,
God, this is rubbish. And now I
yeah.
realize what's in it. The brain takes a very different perspective on what you're eating. So star bars are no more.
That's it.
You
No,
have to find something else. Not that
something a little bit. Probably it's going to end up being expensive, and it'll probably have
it
a lot
is.
more. Yeah. So at least, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? It's just junk. It's not even food, is it?
Correct. But then, of course, you go, and that's a whole other argument for a whole
It
other
is.
podcast about why do people buy it cheap? Because they don't have the money to be able to buy expensive. And I think it was a letter to Richard Tice and one of his constituents saying about, I hate to admit that I have to buy our stuff from Shine because we don't have a lot of money. So you're
Yeah,
kind of going full circle,
yeah.
and it's really,
And
really difficult.
availability. You
Yeah,
go into every shop. We'll have just about every shop will have sweets.
yeah.
Garden centres, petrol stations, everywhere you go, there are sweets and
Well,
chocolate.
there was that big argument, wasn't there, of moving the sweets away
Yeah.
from the checkouts and where people are standing in the checkouts. To be honest, I don't stand at the checkout. I am somebody that has one of the handguns because it's quicker now. Straight up, whiz the shop, straight into my bag, fire the gun and I'm out the door. So I'm not standing by a till.
Yeah.
And there's a whole argument around that
But
as well, I know.
if you did stand there, you could do some star jumps, couldn't you?
Well, when I do stand, now here we
Yeah.
go. When I do stand, I go from foot to I'll stand on one leg and I'll lift
Yeah.
one. So
Yeah.
you can practice your balance. This is a Wendy, you
Yeah.
see. Wendy's taught me you can do it wherever. And suddenly I'll stand on one leg and I'm balancing for 5 seconds. Nobody else knows. I mean, I'm not lifting my knee way up. I'm just lifting my foot up slightly. And I'll count to 10 and then I'll shift to the other leg. And I'm
This
sharing
is
all
what we
these secrets. And
this
that's
is what we
all
have to do.
balance and strength.
There you go.
Absolutely. There we go. We've
Right.
gone full circle. So thank you very much to everybody for listening to us, and hope you enjoy the podcasts and you get something from each one. Even today, if it's just thinking about what am I putting in my mouth and looking at ingredients a little bit more. Jamie, you have a good. Oh, I forgot to say, and of course, subscribe, like, comment, all of those that you have to do if you like it. And I'll speak to you again in a couple of weeks. I mean, it'll be March,
Wonderful.
Jamie.
Oh,
We're
might
already
even be
into
warmer.
speed. It'll be into March. Well, I'm not promising that, but but I might be able to get out for my early morning walks because it'll be
Wonderful.
lighter. You take care and we'll speak to you soon, everyone.
And you, bye. Bye.
Bye.